Hey everyone, KC here. I just wanted to throw a spoiler alert out before you listen to this episode. If you have not watched Spider-Man No Way Home, some very important plot points from that movie are mentioned in this episode, so you may want to give that movie a watch before you continue listening. Thanks for listening, everyone.
What is going on, everybody? Thank you all so much for stopping in to another edition of Occasionally Coherent. Tonight, it is myself, Captain Greeks, and one co-host, KC. I won't even pull up a random adjective generator because I don't want to waste my time doing it. But
I don't deserve it.
Just exactly. It's just me and Casey tonight. Goose is a little under the weather / predisposed.
He's got the Decepticon variant.
Yeah, the Decepticon variant.
Yep.
Indeed. Full disclosure, he does not have COVID. He took a test on Friday.
Yeah, he's been feeling
Thursday?
pretty garbage for the last few days.
Yeah.
Got one of those just
he took
every
a
day
test and it was
cold
negative,
that's rolling around. So
yep. So he sounds like doo-doo. If he were to be on the microphone, you guys would be like, "Why is that guy trying to record a podcast?" So
trying to record after smoking.
He's busy. We decided we can do it without him because we don't need him.
Right.
And so you guys got us two. And tonight we're just gonna kind of talk about some things, talk about the holidays a little bit. You know, we've got a cool little exercise to do, a mental exercise, not a physical exercise. As you know, I'm a big fat guy, so that's not really my jam.
That's true.
And we'll just kind of hang out and try to be occasionally coherent, right? That's the whole point.
Dude, I think we should just dive right into it because I'm sure you and I are gonna have a lot to say and a lot to talk about. So I feel like we should dive right into what we got planned.
Yeah, I'm down with that. So what I kind of threw out to Casey today is something we've really been talking about for a while, and it's something we used to do all the time. And then we started the podcast and we stopped doing it kind of in our everyday conversations because we wanted to save it for the podcast, right? Like that's kind of a sidebar here, but that's kind of like a side effect of doing a podcast is you want to save some good content and conversations for the podcast, right? So you learn to mentally gauge yourself in your conversations beforehand and all that. So anyway, so what I'm talking about here is fan casting. It's a pretty popular thing. A lot of places do it. A lot of articles up about it. And one of the really popular fan castings that's out there right now is for the Fantastic Four franchise or movie that we know John Watts is going to be directing for Marvel. And we have, as far as I know, and I'm pretty well plugged into news, there is no casting news at all about that movie. Casey, correct me if I'm wrong.
No, nothing's been confirmed. I'm sure they probably have their people nailed down, but nothing has been nothing's been set up yet. I feel like there's probably a lot of fan casting that has actually taken place, which I think tends to happen nowadays. Like we've had a lot of it come up in recent memory. Like, oh, here's who we wanted to play it. That's who they got. I think of Henry Cavill as The Witcher, as Geralt of Riviera, and people kind of had made him they've did some fan art with him as The Witcher, and that kind of brought it to life. And then the other one I think of is Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka in Mandalorian, and then she will be playing Ahsoka in the upcoming Ahsoka series. That was kind of the fan choice for it as well, and I think that they're going to continue to do that because, I think people are well versed enough in who's a good actor, who kind of fits a role, who looks the part, and they're very particular in that. So if it doesn't end up being whom we kind of wanted it to be, I think we end up shying away from it a little bit and like, oh, well, we don't really like that. I don't like that choice. They should have gone with someone else. Obviously, there are a few instances where we're surprised. I think we're about to be very surprised with the Batman movie that's coming out in March with Robert Pattinson. I think a lot of people were pretty skeptical at first, but based on trailers and based on reception so far, it seems like that ended up being a pretty good casting choice. So I think that we're going to end up with a little bit of that as we get to the future of the MCU. Obviously, we have some announced projects and stuff like that are coming out, and I think we'll have almost kind of like a nice split. We'll get a little bit of fan service casting, and then we'll also get a little bit of, hey, here's kind of a little bit of an unknown. They did really good over here, and we're bringing a mainstream for you because we think that they're really good. And I think that we'll see a little bit more of that going forward. It's kind of, I'd call it almost the Star Wars model. You know, where
I would definitely agree with that.
You bring in your heavy hitters, your seasoned actors and actresses as your supporting roles, and then you bring in your relatively unknowns for all of your main roles. You know, it's what they did with the original Star Wars trilogy. It's what they did with the sequel trilogy. I think the prequel trilogy kind of had a bit of a mix, more of like what I was talking about, where we kind of got half and half. You have some relatively unknowns at the time. I think Ewan McGregor was kind of getting established, maybe not quite, and Liam Neeson also with his role as Qui-Gon Jinn. They were both kind of getting established, not these household names. And then on the supporting side, you know, you have your Ian McDermott's and your Samuel L. Jackson and stuff like that. They're playing more of that supporting role, but they're obviously your heavy hitters that everybody in the household or anybody who watches TV every once in a while is probably going to recognize.
Yeah, I agree. And I think even a more recent kind of fan casting come true is Haley Steinfeld, I believe. I think it was like kind of 50-50 fan casting plus Disney actually wanting her to play the role of oh God, I'm drawing a blank right now. The Hawkeye series, Kate Bishop.
Yep.
She performed very well in that series. And I think it was a pretty perfect casting for that. And I think that that a lot of fans kind of had that in their mind, as far as she would make a good Kate Bishop to Jeremy Renner's Clint Barton. So
yeah, I agree with that.
Anyway. Yeah, we will get into this. So, for those that don't know, the Fantastic Four is made up of 4 people.
Usually.
Usually, yes, this is true. Usually, we have Mr. Fantastic, a.k.a. Reed Richards. We have Invisible Woman, a.k.a. Sue Storm. Then we have the Human Torch, a.k.a. Johnny Storm. Sue and Johnny are brother and sister. And then the Thing, a.k.a. What's his real name? Ben Grimm?
Yep, Grimm.
Ben Grimm. And then they have a couple different characters that kind of coincide with them. Dr. Doom, or Victor Von Doom, is kind of a main antagonist to their story. And then also the Silver Surfer, kind of tags along with their story. I don't think the Silver Surfer even has like a real name, if I'm not mistaken.
Nornrad, I believe. But I think there's in the comics it's been a few different things. It's not.
Yeah. But anyway, so what I did is I came up with 2 people for each role that I would like to see, and then I also included Dr. Doom because he's more or less like the villain that is, you know, is expected to tag along with the Fantastic Four.
Sure.
Here. So we can start with Mr. Fantastic.
Can we get the obvious fan choices out of the way before we get into the actual what it might end up being?
I mean, I guess so. Casey, he says that because he knows my number one choice for Mr. Fantastic.
It's everybody's number one choice. And like if you go anywhere, you're gonna be like, oh, this is who should play Mr. Fantastic and Susan Storm. Like it should be these two. And John
Krasinski and Emily Blunt.
Right.
It's I mean, when you think about it, it's a freaking no-brainer, man. Like, John Krasinski is the right age. He's the right build. He's got the right temperament to do it. Mm-hmm. He's starred in action before. He's directed before. You know, the dude is, you know, the total package. And he would be perfect for Mr. Fantastic. And I would love for John Krasinski to be part of the MCU. And, you know, you got to remember the Fantastic Four are a household name.
Right.
And so
the first family of Marvel.
Cast, yeah, exactly. Whoever gets cast in these roles is going to be a major player in the MCU going forward.
Right.
And I think that if we put John Krasinski and then his wife in real life, Emily Blunt, as Sue Storm, I think that if we put them in these roles, the MCU is in good hands going forward. Like, period. I mean, Emily Blunt is a very, very good actress. And she's basically a household name whenever, you know, I got to believe if somebody's writing a movie with a female lead, like Emily Blunt's on the short list, I got to imagine, for most people at this point. But
yeah.
So I do have those two written down because I truly, you know, do believe that they should be the obvious choice. But my other choice for Mr. Fantastic, I put down Brandon Routh.
Interesting. I saw that one. I did see that one, and I like the choice as well. I think that he's obviously he's seasoned as far as playing a superhero. He's been on the DC side for a couple of different things. He played Superman in when they tried to reboot it back in the early 2000s, and then
he also played Superman in the Legends of or he played Superman in the, what did they call it?
It's and they're like big crossover between thing.
All the
the Flashpoint the thing that they did between all of the Arrowverse shows on the CW.
He played Superman again,
but he also played Adam and
yes
in that universe as well, and did a really good job of it. He kind of like people had kind of a sour taste in their mouth from the Superman, which I guess I wouldn't necessarily say it was his fault. I thought he did perfectly fine, kind of acting the exact same way that Christopher Reeves did, because that's the Superman that he was supposed to be, but the rest of the movie itself was pretty garbage. But yeah, I like that casting choice a lot. I think that he's very talented, and he's getting to be like that point where he can kind of get the Silver Fox look going.
Yeah, exactly.
Mr. Fantastic's supposed to be kind of in his like 40s ish area. Like, he's not a young man.
Yep, exactly. And I think that he, like you were saying, he definitely has the look, right? He's got the dark hair. You know, he can get the Silver Fox look going. He's got an athletic build. He's a bigger guy, and he's very familiar with the superhero genre. You know, he's one where it's like, okay, maybe he wouldn't be like a long-term solution necessarily, but we do have I'm drawing a blank on the guy that's a descendant of Reed Richards from the future.
Kang the Conqueror.
No, it's isn't Gore the God Butcher?
No, Kang the Conqueror is.
Oh, is it Kang?
Yep.
Is he technically? Yep. Okay.
Yes, he is.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So anyway, so Kang is supposed to be a big bad here at some point. So, you know, maybe it's you know, a thing where Brandon Routh gets cast, and then a few years down the road he like hands the Olympic torch to Jonathan Majors as Kang the Conqueror, or something along those lines. But I do feel like Brandon Routh could do the job well. He's actually from Iowa, where I live, so that was kind of what drew me to that right away. I just knew of him because everybody talks about him down here. But that's who I wrote down. Casey, who did you have?
All right, so I had two written down as well. I decided not to write down John Krasinski and Emily Blunt because I would be more than ecstatic if those were the castings that happened. But I'm pretty realistic, and I know that we've got high expectations of that happening, and I try to tone those down as I'm able to.
Right.
So the first one that I wrote down, and this one you might have to look this person up if you recognize it. Otherwise, I'll give some clarity on it as well. John David Washington. He is Denzel Washington's son,
sure.
and he's actually the lead in the movie Tenet.
Yes. Yep. I know who that is.
Very, very talented.
Say the dude from Tenet.
Yeah, very talented actor. He's been in a couple other things that I've watched as well. And I think that it's kind of the perfect, right on the edge of unknown, but kind of known a little bit. So you can get him in, get him locked in for a few movies, that kind of thing. I can see that happening there. So that one's one that I really liked that when I saw that name thrown out there. And then the other one, which you're probably going to disagree with this one, I think, but I think that it would work out really well as long as they can cast the correct Sue Storm opposite of them, and that's Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
See, I did think for a minute about that. I figured that you would write him down because I know you're a big Joseph Gordon-Levitt fan. I do think that how old is he these days? Is he's got to be 30s
around
yet?
Yeah, he's got to be around 30s, 40s.
So I think that, they would, and I'm sure they would, but they would need to, almost make him seem a little older because he's got a baby face.
Yeah, and I think so. But again, it's another one of those ones where he's kind of young enough where they can get. I think that especially for these roles, they're gonna be going after those young actors and actresses to get them locked in, similar to like how they worked it out with Tom Holland, how they worked it out with Chris Evans.
Right.
They're getting these actors a little bit younger. So I would love for John Krasinski and Emily Blunt to get those roles, but it's going to be difficult to get them locked down because 10 years from now, if they need them to appear in a movie, maybe they're not even acting anymore,
Yeah, that's true. And I do think that Joseph Gordon-Levitt could do it. I definitely respect him as an actor. Definitely not my first choice. I would almost say that he would be a better Johnny Storm, if anything, because he kind of...
I saw him on a couple of those lists as well.
That... he can have that kind of young, fiery, kind of hot-headed spirit about him. I think he could pull that off pretty well. As far as John David Washington goes, not to sound racist or anything, because I'm certainly not, but it would be interesting to me if they cast an African American as Reed Richards. It wouldn't surprise me, and I wouldn't have a problem with it whatsoever, as long as it was done right. But sure. It would just be interesting because the obviously from the comics, right? Like all of these characters are white, and I know from we just got a really big helping of Marvel's kind of shaking the boat on casting in Eternals. They casted male characters from the comics as female characters in the movie, and white versus black, all that kind of stuff. They definitely shook the boat pretty well on that. So it wouldn't surprise me if they were looking to cast a African American Reed Richards, especially since Kang is Jonathan Majors, who's an African American actor, and so it would not surprise me at all. And I definitely would be down for John David Washington to do that. I did see a couple other African American castings too. I can't recall them off the top of my head, but I would be about that. As long as they got somebody that I felt that could carry the MCU for a hot minute, and I do certainly think that John David Washington could certainly do that. But sure. That's pretty good there. Who did you have for Sue Storm?
So for Sue Storm, I had a couple. Actually, had three, and I kind of like broke it down into like age categories. And it's going to really depend on who they cast as Mr. Fantastic. So if you go into that, and she's not old, so I hate saying it like this, but older, like mid-30s area. I really like the idea of Blake Lively being brought into the MCU, and obviously I had Emily Blunt written down too, just because I had her paired with John Krasinski. But I think Blake Lively paired up with either John David Washington or Joseph Gordon-Levitt would work out really well. They're right around that same age group, which they're supposed to be based on the comics. And obviously her husband is most likely going to be in the MCU at some point here in the near future as Deadpool. So
right, yeah, I was just gonna say
probably some offhand jokes could be made. Like
that would be pretty funny. It would be interesting to see. We really don't know what they're gonna do with Deadpool yet.
Right?
Like there hasn't been anything confirmed. Is like officially confirmed, I guess. But if Deadpool is not going to be a real player in the MCU, or is for a movie and then dies somehow, if Ryan Reynolds could potentially, fill the role as Reed Richards along with Blake Lively playing Sue Storm.
Yeah, I think you're really stretching it there, but there's definitely could be something there, I guess. So
I think Ryan Reynolds is far too sarcastic to be Reed Richards.
I agree. So then kind of like more middle of the road, like late 20s, early 30s area. And this person is already confirmed via different sources to at some point be joining the MCU in an undisclosed role. And that is Emilia Clarke.
Yeah, I did see that one too.
So if anybody doesn't know who that is, that's Daenerys from Game of Thrones. She's also in Solo, a Star Wars story. And I believe it's one of those like leak, so it's not like totally confirmed, but so far everything in that leak has turned out to be true. And one of those things that hasn't been confirmed yet because we haven't gotten to that point in the future yet. Emilia Clarke is supposed to be joining the MCU, so I think that there's definitely could be something there for sure.
Yeah, I think that she definitely brings the charisma and the so Sue Storm in the comics is traditionally like very like tough, right? Like she's kind of like a badass lady a little bit, and I think Emilia Clarke definitely can bring that kind of energy to it. She's her role in Game of Thrones, which I admittedly have not seen, but from what I hear, it's kind of a pretty serious role, and she does a very good job of kind of playing, I don't even know what the right word I'm looking for is, but she just plays kind of a tough, a tough role.
Yeah,
and she does well. So I would definitely be down for that. Right age range. I don't know if I mentioned that. I think, but I think that one right there is certainly dependent on the correct Reed Richards casting as well. Right. I think that it would have to be somebody that she has maybe a little chemistry with,
right,
or something like that.
The thing that people threw around before the Eternals cast was announced was Richard Madden as Reed Richards as well. Obviously, that's not. I mean, never say never. That's not really a possibility since he played Icarus in Eternals.
Right.
But that obviously would be another Game of Thrones casting, and he would kind of fit that Reed Richards bill very, very well as well.
Yeah, he totally would have.
So the last one, I was pretty torn on this one, and I went with the better actress based on my better judgment. So I was torn between Chloe Grace Moretz and Saoirse Ronan. You probably you might know who Chloe Grace Moretz is. She's in the Kick-Ass movies. She's in a couple other movies. She was really young in those movies, so she's still very young. So if you're going for that more young side, that would be her. Okay. But I chose my better judgment, and I went with Saoirse Ronan, who I doubt you've seen her in anything. She's an Irish actress, and she looks the part of Sue Storm probably better than anybody else so far.
Yeah, holy shit. I would definitely say so.
Yeah, and she's already. I don't know if she won an Academy Award, but she's already been nominated for an Academy Award. So she's a very good actress as well. I believe she's still pretty young because the movie that she was nominated for, she was playing like a teenager. So that would be another one where you could probably get her in pretty young.
Yeah, she certainly looks the part.
Very, very talented actress as well.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I would definitely be 100% behind Saoirse Ronan getting that role. I've never seen her in anything, but she just, based on being nominated and her looks, I would definitely say that she would fit the role very well. I wrote down, it's kind of a, I don't know, kind of a not so serious casting, but Margot Robbie.
I saw that one on the list as well, for sure. Yeah, that'd be a pretty tough one for them.
I would be okay with that. I think that she would probably turn a role in the MCU down at this point. Just kind of looking at her career, she can basically, she's on that short list along with Emily Blunt, I gotta believe.
Yeah, for sure.
For any kind of lead female. But she's very good in the Suicide Squad movies and the other movies that she's been in. She's super good, super charismatic. She might fall into that same kind of thing that Ryan Reynolds falls into, where she might be a little too funny for the role. In the Fantastic Four, Sue Storm and Reed Richards are kind of it's mom and dad, right? Like they're the two, they're the couple. They're kind of like the ones who have to watch over, Johnny and Ben and that kind of thing. So she might not fit that role too well, but she's a really good actress. She's definitely in the right age range. Definitely somebody who I feel like could help carry the MCU for a little while. So I'm like, I'll write her down. She's very good. So, and she's easy on the eyes. So that's kind of a no-brainer there. But,
right.
Who did you have down for Johnny Storm?
So Johnny Storm, I have a couple written down. One of them is a pretty popular fan casting, and I am fully on board with it. Another one is one that I did not see on any lists, but I think really fits the role. So the first one is Sam Claflin.
Oh, yeah, I think I know who that is. Oh, yeah. Yep, I know who that is.
Yep, so that's a pretty popular fan one. He's in, the only thing that I recognize him from is the second Hunger Games movie. I think he might be in the third one, too.
Yep.
And then the other one that I have written down is Luke Grimes, who is pretty relatively unknown. He is in the Yellowstone TV show, but he's a younger guy. Has that kind of like roguish charm look to him that a lot of like your Johnny Storm actors, you would want your Johnny Storm actors to have. He's got the blonde hair with the stubble and everything else that they would want, and I think he would fit that role very well. As in my opinion, if you haven't watched the show Yellowstone, highly recommend it. He's fantastic in that show as well.
Nobody watches Yellowstone.
A lot of people watch Yellowstone. But yeah, so that was my choice. I saw there's a couple other ones. I know one of the most popular ones that's thrown around is Zac Efron, but
yeah,
I think that's a bit of a stretch.
I thought about that one. I'm like, man, Zac Efron, like, I don't know, he's, dare I say, he's almost too old for the role. And he's too like already established where, he he might be one that would have to get recast in like a second Fantastic Four movie because he's not available for it or something like that. Kind of along the same lines as Margot Robbie, actually.
Right.
Where, they don't necessarily need to look for something where it locks them in for multiple years. And they certainly don't need the money. So I would probably get behind Zac Efron being Johnny Storm. I think that he could do it. I think that he has the right attitude, the right build, the right look for it. But, definitely not my first choice. I wrote down, and who I really, really would like is Charlie Day. I think that he is a fantastic actor. I don't think he has the physique for it, unfortunately.
Yeah, a little bit of a stretch for that one.
Kind of a little guy. But I think that his kind of like 1,000-mile-an-hour motor would really fit the Johnny Storm character. Because for those that don't know, Johnny Storm, like the Human Torch, is like the personification of Johnny Storm.
Right.
Like super hot-headed, going a million miles an hour, super like overconfident, like I'm invincible kind of thing. And I think Charlie Day could rock that. But I think that he also might be a little too old for the role. And he certainly does not have the physique to, somebody like a Brandon Routh or a John Krasinski gets cast as Mr. Fantastic, and they're standing, a good 4, 5, 6 inches over Charlie Day.
Right. Sure.
Yep. So that I wrote that one down because I love Charlie Day. He's freaking hilarious, and I think he would be really, really good comic relief as Johnny Storm, but probably not going to happen. And one that I wrote down that I didn't see anywhere, but kind of basically is in the forefront of everyone's mind, I gotta believe right now, especially after the movie that just came out over the weekend, is Andrew Garfield.
Yeah.
I think that Andrew Garfield stole the show. Spoiler alert for those that haven't seen Spider-Man. Sorry about that. If you haven't seen Spider-Man No Way Home, Andrew Garfield stole the show in Spider-Man No Way Home, in my mind. Okay. He was fantastic. He was charming. You felt bad for him. There was so many nods to his Spider-Man series and saying, hey, your series, in the general public's eye, his series is kind of looked down upon, right? Like it's definitely third in the pecking order for Spider-Man series. And there were so many times where they're like, you're great too. You're a cool Spider-Man. Like when he says like, oh, I'm just a lame Spider-Man. I haven't done any of those things. And and then Tobey Maguire is like, no, you're awesome. Let me hear you say it. I'm awesome. That kind of thing. It was like, that's so meta. They're like, no, dude, like Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man is good. It's just, Andrew Garfield did good. It's just that the movie didn't allow it to be good. You know what I'm saying? It was just so funny. But I think that and I even mentioned it right after the movie, I think that both Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield had phenomenal performances. I think they acted better in No Way Home than they did in the entirety of each of their respective series. And I think that is due to A, good directing, and B, amazing writing. So I think that Andrew Garfield could definitely shine as a Johnny Storm. He's definitely the right age. He definitely could get locked down for a long time in the MCU. And it'll be interesting if there's any kind of news that comes out now that both Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, if they do any kind of like press press anything, interviews and all that kind of stuff, if they talk about, what their potential future is with Marvel and Spider-Man, if they say, oh yeah, this kind of opened my eyes to doing more with Spider-Man, or if they say that, oh, it's, it was just a fun one-time gig to relive the character and then put it back to bed, it'll be interesting, because I would certainly think that somebody like Andrew Garfield, who, he hasn't done much outside of Spider-Man, a few things here and there, I would think he'd be on board to take up a new role within the MCU, as long as, they were like, Johnny Storm is going to be a pretty big player, going forward. I would think that he would be on board for that. Why wouldn't he? So, anyway, moving on to The Thing, aka Ben Grimm. For those that don't know, The Thing, he's basically like a big orangish brown boulder looking dude, who cannot change back to looking like a person. He is stuck in, it's basically if Bruce Banner turned the Hulk and was never able to go back, except the Hulk looked ugly. So, Casey, who did you have for The Thing?
All right, so this is one of those ones where I think that this is the opportunity for them to kind of do a little bit of more fan servicey type thing. And I think that you bring back Michael Chiklis as The Thing, because I thought he did a great job.
Dude, it's so funny. Like, I saw so many people, they want Michael Chiklis back, and he is just about damn perfect for that role, isn't he?
Yeah, he does a fantastic job.
Yeah. I put down a couple. So this one is kind of dependent again, sort of like Andrew Garfield. Tom Hardy. I think that if Tom Hardy is not Venom, which there is no reason why he shouldn't be Venom in the MCU, and I think he will be Venom in the SUMC as well, he would be really good as The Thing. I think he can get into that kind of role fairly well. And then I also put down, no pun intended, but Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah, I saw that one listed as well. I think that you're really stretching it there. It's another one where you want to get somebody who can probably be kind of locked down into the role for a little while. So another one that I saw that I think kind of fits in this, I think really depends on if we see John Krasinski become Mr. Fantastic, and I think it would be awesome if Rainn Wilson got the role.
There's no, well, I mean, obviously
so if you got to think about it. So Ben Grimm is not like this big like hulking dude. He is
right,
a scientist just like Reed Richards is.
Right. Yeah.
He just happens to the powers that he gains. He happens to become a gigantic rock-looking monster dude with super strength.
Right. Yeah, and he's basically invincible for the most part. Right. Yeah, that's true. I think they didn't necessarily do the character a disservice in the Michael Chiklis Fantastic Four movies, but they didn't necessarily portray the character as he's portrayed in the comics necessarily. Like, he kind of was portrayed as the just kind of the assistant.
Yeah,
right?
he was the muscle.
Yeah.
I think that's one thing. Like,
he's actually a very smart guy, right, and a scientist.
And I know the reboot is one of the worst things that ever happened in cinematic history. However, the Ben Grimm that they have in that, they did a lot better job of capturing what he's supposed to be. So that's the one thing of credit that I will give to the Fantastic Four reboot, which is on Disney Plus right now, I do believe.
Yeah, it is.
I might have to rewatch it just for like old time's sake. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm telling you, it's not worth rewatching.
I know it's rough. I think I actually think I only watched it one time completely.
I've watched it one time and it's so bad. But yeah, I do think that Michael Chiklis as the Thing would be great. I think everybody would love it. I don't know necessarily if Michael Chiklis wants to do it. After those movies came out, we really didn't see him in a whole lot.
He moved the TV. He did a lot more
I don't know how well the general view about Michael Chiklis' The Thing is, but I would love it. I think he did a fantastic job.
Yep.
It would be really, really cool if Rainn Wilson was cast as the Thing.
Like how fun would that be?
That would be so fun. Unfortunately, there's not a chance that Rainn Wilson would want to do that because Rainn Wilson is a super out there crazy dude kinda. The dude lives in the middle of nowhere on a farm with his wife, and they have a whole bunch of crazy animals. And he does a podcast called The Metaphorical Milkshake. So, super weird dude, super good guy, right? Super nice guy, super sweet. But there's no way that he would sign up to do the Thing, unless John Krasinski called him and he's like, dude, you got to do it with me. So
right, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think it would really depend.
But that would be fun. That would be certainly fun. But I do think that Michael Chiklis definitely would be the number one choice there. And so I don't know who you have besides the Fantastic Four, but I wrote down a couple for Doctor Doom.
I wrote down a couple for Doctor Doom. I wrote down a couple other ones just as I was kind of thinking of them. So I wrote down Doctor Doom, Wolverine, Namor, and Storm.
Sure. Okay. Well, I'll go into my Doctor Doom here. For me, Doctor Doom is a character that needs to be in the MCU as soon as possible, because he is a character where he can kind of hang around for a while as a bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
Because he can kind of go to different levels of bad, right? He can be, the stakes with Doctor Doom can be world saving, or they can be, country saving, kind of stuff.
Yep.
I think that he could be an Avengers level threat, or he could be a small team up level threat. And so I think he offers a lot to the MCU. And as a villain, I do believe he needs to be British of some sort or have an accent. And so I wrote down Jason Statham for Dr. Doom as one of them. Yes. I think that that I really love Jason Statham's delivery. He's very articulate and kind of slow talking with what he does, and he has a super, super thick British accent. And I think that would kind of go over really well. And I think that you can motion capture Jason Statham's face and bald head really well to make him look like a really good Doctor Doom. And, honestly, I think that would be really good. The other person that I had written down is Andy Serkis.
Let's see, now that can't happen because he's already been in the MCU as somebody else.
I know, but he's dead.
Okay, but
there's people in the MCU that have played two roles.
I don't know. That's a little bit too much of it. His role was too important to just toss him into another role like that.
I mean, if you have his face covered, nobody's gonna be like, oh, isn't that Ulysses Klaue?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know, man. I
don't know. I
don't know. That's a stretch, man.
All right. Well, who the hell did you pick then?
All right. So for Doctor Doom, I have two that I think would both be pretty fantastic. Ha ha ha! Pun. Fantastic Four.
Ha 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 ha.
The first one I have written down is Patrick Wilson.
Patrick Wilson. Is that? Why do I know that name?
You should know that name.
Oh yeah. Yep. I know that name. He is oh God, what the hell movie is he in?
He's in Aquaman. And then he's in all of the the Conjuring
Aquaman
movies and stuff like that.
He's Aquaman's half brother.
Yeah. Orin.
I can't remember his name. Yes, King Orin. Yeah, okay.
And then so that one, I mean, I feel like he would play that like benefactor role that's, you know, plays into the origin story of the Fantastic Four really well, like the person funding the project. I think he would play that very well. And then the other one that I have written down, and I don't know if you're going to agree with this one, is Bryan Cranston.
Oh, get the hell out of here. No way.
That man would be able to play one of the most evil yet complex villains.
Yeah, he certainly would.
I think he would be able to
but there is no way that he is young enough to be cast.
No, he would have to be, like, they would have to kind of rewrite it a little bit in order to fit his age, but I think that would be, he would nail that role. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah, he certainly would, to be honest. I mean, he definitely, they could definitely make Doctor Doom very complicated and kind of do like there's a lot of internal conflict within Doctor Doom, and I feel like that's kind of the role that Bryan Cranston plays very well.
Yeah. Did you write anybody down for Silver Surfer?
I didn't.
Okay, I got one for you, and I think you'll probably agree with it, so then we can move on, and that's Rami Malek.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yep. Absolutely. I could get
like
down
tell
with
me
that.
He wouldn't be able to nail that, like, just calm persona.
Yeah. He could definitely do that that kind of dry delivery where there's really no emotion and I'm doing this because I have to, and that is that. There's no exceptions kind of thing.
Yep.
Yeah, I would definitely get behind that.
All right. So then I got one for Namor, who's relatively related to the Fantastic Four. Rumors are he's going to pop up in the Black Panther 2 that's coming out in 2022.
Wakanda Forever. Yeah.
Wakanda Forever. And that is Henry Golding.
Henry Golding. Do I know him?
He is in Crazy Rich Asians, and then he just played Snake Eyes in the G.I. Joe origin story. He's a very talented actor, and one that they could bring in relatively young and probably nail down for a foreseeable future. And Namor is definitely one of those that I feel like you establish him as a villain, but then he will, like, at the end of it, it's like, oh, wait a minute. This guy's actually kind of a hero or more of an anti-hero type thing, which is what, like, Nemar's not supposed to be a villain. He will eventually become like an ally.
Doesn't he join the Avengers at some point?
I think so. He's part of the
comics.
He's part of the Illuminati in the comics.
Oh, I think that's probably.
But also, so is Norman Osborn. So,
I mean, yeah that's true. I could. He's definitely kind of has the look going for him, where he's kind of like a fairly like good-looking guy that, kind of pretty straightforward look, if you will.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, I could see him playing Namor.
Yeah. So I'm gonna scratch my one for Storm off the list because I changed my mind on that one. But I got two for Wolverine because we know that the mutants are coming at some point, and that's gonna be one of, I don't know if there is going to be a more hotly contested casting coming up than Wolverine, because it's going to be very difficult for anybody our generation and above to see anybody but Hugh Jackman in that role.
So let me just say this. If Hugh Jackman is listening, which I'm sure he is not.
He's absolutely listening.
But on the off chance that Hugh Jackman is listening to this, how can you not come back to play
He's not going to,
Wolverine?
Man. There's no way that
How
he does.
can you not? Like, after seeing Andrew Garfield and Tony Maguire
come
back and Tobey Maguire come back and kill it as the Spider-Mans, how can you not come back and want to be a part of the biggest movie franchise in the world? I mean, come on. Like, you would be the king of nerds.
Yeah.
You would dethrone Henry Cavill as the king of nerds if you came back and played Wolverine.
Yeah, it'd be pretty huge if he did. So
like there would be celebrations in the streets if that was announced.
Yeah, I mean, people would be pretty happy about it for sure. But I don't think he's coming back. That means they are going to.
I don't think so either.
You can't have the X-Men without having Wolverine. It's going to be difficult. Right. It's going to be very difficult. But I think if there were two actors who would be able to nail that, well, I don't know if they'd really nail it, but they would be good choices. One of those is Scott Eastwood.
Scott Eastwood.
It's actually Clint Eastwood's, I believe, is his son.
Oh yeah, he's in Fast and Furious.
Yeah, he's in Fast and Furious. He's in a couple other newer things as well. He's pretty talented, kind of up and coming. I think that I think they could make that work with him.
He's got the look where he could pull off the chops and then kind of a crazy hairstyle.
Yeah.
Okay, I could get behind it.
And then this one is a pretty popular fan casting, but after watching both Sons of Anarchy and Pacific Rim, the first one with him in it, Charlie Hunnam would be a really good choice. Like the perfect size, you'd be able to pull off the chops. His acting chops are not on display in Pacific Rim, but if you watch Sons of Anarchy, you know that he is a fantastic actor and would be able to play that kind of right on the edge of heroism that Wolverine is up until he joins the X-Men. I think that he would be able to play that very well.
Sure. So, absolutely.
He'd have to dye his hair. He's
definitely
very blonde, but I think that he can
he's
make
definitely
it happen.
a blonde guy. I would definitely think that Scott Eastwood would be a better Wolverine.
I like Scott Eastwood as that choice as well, for sure.
Yeah, I definitely could get behind that. And I think I remember hearing that he is interested in like that realm, like the superhero realm.
Yeah.
Of stuff at some point. I feel like either he was at a Comic-Con convention or something like that. I don't remember.
Right.
But that's kind of like coming back to me now. But I definitely could agree with that. It's going to be pretty damn hard. You know, I mean, like you said, we grew up with Hugh Jackman as our Wolverine. So, and you know, I think the latest report was that he doesn't want to, but it's kind of gone back and forth, since Logan.
No, yeah, I don't think Logan was the perfect way for him to end his tenure as Wolverine. I think, I do think that it's important for the MCU's future with mutants. However they're going to establish them, we don't really know. I don't think we'll see them in the current phase. It'll probably be the one after. It's going to be very important for them to establish it with new characters, and if they're doing it with the X-Men, it'd be really awesome to see them do that with fresh faces as well. I love Hugh Jackman. I think he does an awesome job, but
I mean, I think that they don't need to necessarily do all fresh faces. You know, I think there's some actors that would return that I think could return.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's going to be the X-Men is going to be really tough to have a combo of returning actors and new ones. If you're going to do either going to do all new or you got to do all returning.
Really?
They were in so many movies together, and I don't know. I don't think it works by bringing. I don't think the X-Men work if you bring in people who've already previously played the roles. The only exception of that being Deadpool, because nobody else other than Ryan Reynolds can play Deadpool. But I really think that they can establish Deadpool in the MCU with literally just having him say one line, like a joking, like, "Oh, okay, the studio bought this studio, so I'm in the MCU now." Like literally, you can just have him like give a throwaway line about it, and it's Deadpool, so nobody's gonna give a shit.
Yeah, I did read something not that long ago that said that Marvel does want to keep the R rating on Deadpool.
Yeah. Yeah,
so that's exciting.
It's going to be interesting to see if they do just have him kind of be his own thing, or if they want him to be in the MCU, which I'm honestly fine with either.
I hope that he's in the MCU because I cannot wait to have him interact with like Rocket. Like, can you imagine Rocket and Deadpool interacting? Like, how?
Yeah, there's definitely some good character interactions that we are due to see in whatever the next big team up movie is, which I don't think we'll see in this phase. I think we're going to be waiting. We're going to be waiting quite a few years, I think, before we get the next cool team up movie.
We got the big team up movie energy without having the movie in Spider-Man No Way Home.
Sure,
you know. So I think that was kind of our hold off.
Right.
You know, we definitely aren't getting one in 2022, and there's not supposed to be one in 2023. So we at least have 2 years until we get a team up. So
yeah, I think so too.
So, do you have any others?
That's all I got.
All right. Well, that's all I got. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. This is something that we talk about on the regular. Well, at least we used to until we started the pod, and then we haven't done this kind of thing in a while. We will definitely do it again at some point, maybe with Star Wars, because that's kind of our other big fandom that we're a part of. So hope you guys enjoyed it and didn't fall asleep listening to us blabber on. We could probably go on for another 2 or 3 hours if we really wanted to about this stuff, but we're gonna cut it off here. And thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
All right, thanks everyone.
All right, I'm good.